What a lousy slate of offerings Hollywood has provided us in 2025. Everything so far this year, like I can't remember. Maybe I'm blanking on something that came out in January, but I highly doubt it. Nothing has surprised. Nothing has performed up to expectations. Everything has been a catastrophic bomb, and it's really of their own making. Okay, people had a Mickey 17 marked on their calendar as something that they were, somewhat looking forward to. Oh, original sci-fi from a venerated director, and Robert Pattinson, at least in some people's perception, has broken out of the Twilight mold, and he's somewhat respectable, I guess. That's like he also helmed the least successful Batman film in nigh on 30 years, but that's neither here nor there. It still could be good. But then I started to hear some reviews about it, and the fact that it just really did absolutely nothing at the box office is just proof of concept that Hollywood is dying. Or maybe Hollywood is dead right now, and we're just starting to smell how bad the corpse has gotten. And why would I go to those lengths? It's because of the rags right now. Okay, your Varieties, Hollywood Reporters, Deadlines, they're all owned by the same company anyways. Now they're starting to spin the math on how expensive these films are compared to how little money they're making, and going, actually, it's not as big of a bomb that you think it is. Even though when you run the real numbers, it actually is that bad, if not worse. But Mickey 17 leads a box office with $19 million, but the $118 million budget spells trouble. Yeah, because, okay, cool, if this was made for $118 million, you need to 2.5, 3 times multiplier that, because guess what? You don't get every single penny. The studio doesn't get every single penny that is spent at the box office. They get 50% domestically, and then things get wildly different abroad. Anywhere between 25 and 40% is what you can normally get internationally. Hence why you end up with the 2.5 and 3 times multiplier, because marketing on top of this, which I seen a ton of advertisement for this film. And the only thing that I really knew about it, like outside of the inside track that I heard from a bunch of people reviewing it, is it's Robert Pattinson, it's clones, and that's about it. Like, that's all the marketing had out there. They kind of neglected that this is about intergalactic space travel, and Mark Ruffalo is doing a really bad Trump impersonation. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I wonder why it failed, because A, it very poorly conveys the premise of the film, and B, you got a Trump allegory at a time when the guy's approval rating within the confines of the United States has never been higher. So forgive me for being skeptical on this moving forward, especially when you heard the name Mark Ruffalo attached to a project. Like, that guy has been so bad in recent years, he might as well just put a touchpad on his chest for how transparent his phoning in of his performances have been. Mickey 17, a dystopian sci-fi comedy, an unfunny comedy, which is, I don't know what's worse, man, a bad drama or an unfunny comedy. Probably an unfunny comedy, because that is just something that you cannot derive any sort of pleasure out of. Jokes that are supposed to land that obviously and painfully don't. Like, at least when it comes to a drama, like, you can interpret conveyed emotions in borked and twisted ways, then you can get your own pleasure out of that. But it's, I don't think anything's worse than a bad comedy. Okay. But yes, starring a dozen Robert Pattinsons, which, yeah, that concept apparently it gets sprung on you like an hour into the movie, where it's like, oh yeah, cool, you know how these two guys basically have the same personality? Yeah, the other Mickeys, they all just have, much different personalities. It's like, I beg your pardon, what happened? No, it was the number one film at the domestic box office with $19.1 million in 3,807 theaters. That sucks. That's really bad. And the fact that the Variety doesn't come out and go, guys, there's a big problem in Hollywood, because what's coming to save us? All right, next week, Snow White. Fuck, we're screwed. Because between now and July, when there's a hope that maybe some things will turn around, and then of course the end of the year when you get Avatar 3, which nobody will remember the moment that they leave the theater after a very long and laborious runtime. Because James Cameron is really happy that he's going to have the longest film in the franchise so far that nobody can remember. Remember, Avatar 2 came out in 2022. How many people still talk fondly about Dances with Wolves in water? But I'm sure everybody is, going to flock to the theaters. Unironically, they're going to flock to the theaters for Dances with Wolves around the campfire. I'm sure that'll be great. I remember watching. Okay, here's the weird thing about Avatar. And I know everybody has talked about this to death, but allow me to throw in my 2 cents once again. I recall watching Avatar. I remember the experience. I remember where I was. I was with my family. We were watching it. I don't remember a goddamn thing about that movie. I remember watching it. That's the weirdest thing. I remember watching it and having no idea what the hell is going on. Those are just, it's very strange. They're insane films, and while I don't get it, nobody does. Nobody can articulate it. Probably going to make $2 billion at the end of the year. And good thing James is ready to go on 5 Avatar films. Might even spin it out to 7. Who gives a shit? But you know what's not going to end up getting a sequel? Mickey 17. Going back to this. The Warner Brothers film cost $118 million. Oh, good. Another aspect of Warner Brothers that is just doing dumb shit from their gaming side of life, continuously and consistently shitting the bed. And then HBO Max casting Black Snape. Now you got your film side of things, and bro, it's going to be tough moving forward. Okay, so yes, a kind of swing for the fence. That could require a few lifetimes to turn a theatrical profit. Yeah, it's never going to happen because, okay, cool. Yeah, just doing some rough math on this, just rounding up to 120. You're essentially going to need a 360 break even, or even if you just go 350 break even. Okay, if you didn't spend that much on marketing, you got a couple of sweetheart deals here and there. It's not hitting those numbers. Okay, $19 million in 3,800 theaters. Bro, it's a wrap. Unless this thing really has legs internationally, it's never going to happen. Critics and audiences were mixed on the R-rated Mickey 17. Yes, which a B cinema score, it might as well just be an F. Okay, anything below like B+, it's death for a film. Another film we're going to be talking about here very shortly had a B- cinema score, and you could also see those numbers trail off horrifically. 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. Is that the critic side of things? I don't know, man. Who cares? Aren't encouraging as the film's for the film's staying power. It's a concern because Mickey 17, which cost another $80 million to market, needs to earn around $275-300 million globally to get into the black during its big screen run. Which, yeah, those are very narrow windows. And see, this is where the access media starts to run cover for these stinker films. And for an industry they so desperately need to succeed that just clearly isn't. Internationally, Mickey 17 brought in $25.4 million. Yo. So it had, what, 44? Yeah, 44.5 opening weekend. That's atrocious. Film opened last weekend in South Korea and grossed $34.2 million overseas and $53.3 million worldwide in total. Oof. Premium large formats such as IMAX and Dolby accounted for 47% of the opening weekend ticket sales. So yeah, the fact that they could gouge the people the most just kind of lets you know that legitimately, if you count the individual tickets, nobody's watching this shit. But yeah, so just highlight Warner Brothers here real quick, because there's a couple of things before we get into the MCU side of things that I want to highlight here. Mickey 17 kicks off the riskiest slate that Warner Brothers has crafted in years. Really, because this should be a banger year. This one right here could be your experimental film. So yeah, if it succeeds, that's great, even though you have like a very high-profile cast and creative side of things. And if it doesn't pan out, it's $120 million. That's not exactly chump change, but hey, based on everything else that you have, that could be fine. Okay, up next, there's Alto Nights, a $45 million gangster drama, which Robert De Niro, holy shit, man. I said, like, Robert De Niro is a part of some of my favorite films of all time. It's just, I don't need another gangster film from, Bobby. The Irishman was about a decade too late, and that was, a decade ago? So, yeah, we don't really need that. But at least that only cost $45 million. And then, oh God, Minecraft movie, which... That's, oh God, okay. Well, good thing that's dropping on April 1st, because that's going to be about the funniest part of April Fool's Day, the fact that they have any kind of hope for that film. I don't know, man. It could be super popular, but the whole Jack Black as Steve thing has kind of been memed into oblivion. And also Jason Momoa looking like a transgender Barbie. Not exactly winning formula. And Sinners, okay, yeah, that's Ryan Coogler race-swapping vampires. Might be something. Yeah, and he's got Michael B. Jordan, so that's coming out on the 18th, so... And of course, yes, you got James Gunn's Superman, which could do $1 billion. It could do 500 million. I got no goddamn idea. That's coming out July 11th. July is going to be a very, very interesting time, to say the least. But yes, overall, this weekend is down 60% compared to the same weekend last year when Dune Part 2 was steamrolling the box office. Yeah, something that just, $800 million or something like that? It was optimistically hoping to make $1 billion, but it ended up, significantly fizzling out. It was one of those films that ended up getting delayed due to the strikes in 2023. And it was set to release either on the same day or a week before the Marvels. And we know that the Marvels ended up with $204 million at the box office. I just would have thought it would have been hilarious if Dune 2 still would have released in that same time period. How much that would have had an impact on the Marvels. One of those fun what-if scenarios. If only we could have another Mickey who came from a different timeline that we could have play that out for us. That could be fun. More fun than that movie was. Anyways, looking at the rest of the box office, and what came in at number 2? Well, it has to be Captain Black Falcon America Man. Slid to second place after 3 weeks at number 1. Superhero adventure starring Anthony Mackie as the Star-Spangled Avenger. Well, yeah, masquerading in his skin suit, but it's still Falcon at the end of the day. Added $8.5 million for 3,480 theaters. $8.5 million? Bro, what are we doing? Okay, it will end the weekend with $177 million domestically, $370.8 million worldwide. And yep, and that's where the math ends up on this. And well, you can go ahead and project until you're blue in the face, and unless you're going to keep this in until the Thunderbolts comes out in May, this shit ain't hitting what your estimates have it capped out at. This weekend, yes, Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17 opened with $53.3 million worldwide. Captain America slid into second place, having grossed $9.2 million during its third weekend overseas. The MCU's movie momentum is slowing down. However, it has nearly reached $200 million at the international box office with $194.2 million in total. Cool. Combined with $176.6 million in North America, Brave New World has reached $370.6 million. And yeah, it made $9.2 million in total in its third weekend. You think it's going to improve from there? Yeah, I don't think so. Final worldwide gross is somewhere between $405 and $440 million. Dude, it's not crap. It's not cracking 400 million, okay? Because you take a look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is the most appropriate comparable. And I got the weekend totals pulled up right here. And remember, this one was considered a flop. Oh no, but it made $77,000. Shut up. $106 million opening weekend, Captain Black Falcon America Man, 88. Its third weekend in release, $12.8 million. What was Captain America? All right, 9.2. Oopsie daisy. Oh no, and that was worldwide. This is just domestically. 8.3 million. That's tough, man. That's real tough. Then looking at the rest of this, 4, 2, 1. Where are you going to make up that additional $30 million to get over that $400 million mark? It ain't happening. It's not. It's dead. It's a film that's going to continue to bleed screens as more profitable films come out, and it really starts to beg the question, especially with such a consequential year for the MCU with and superhero films in general. Marvel executive denies the MCU reboot rumors, but is it the only way to save the struggling superhero universe? Yes, it is. Actually, at this point in time, it's kind of getting talked about in the same circles as Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who specifically. What about putting this bitch on ice here for a minute? What about cranking out Doomsday, having Dr. Doom, Robert Downey Jr.'s the Doom coming in and start cracking skulls of all of these failed superheroes that's out there? Have it end on that note, okay? Just a redoing Infinity War, but instead of following it up with Endgame, just stopping it wholesale for like 5 to 10 years, doing it proper that way. It's about the only way that you're going to get anybody on brand. Because at least if you come back after a reboot, okay, which we all know that's what's going to happen after you jangle all of the keys with Doomsday, and especially do that with Secret Wars when that does come out. What do? You properly relaunch Fantastic Four, you properly relaunch the X-Men, you bring Spider-Man home, you recast, and you have a definitive core group of Avengers, and you start fresh from there. That's what you should have done with with Phase 4. Kick it off with Fantastic Four. Phase 5, you can start to bring in the X-Men if you're so inclined to do that. Otherwise, you continue to build towards stuff instead of just kind of muddle fuck your way through things going, I don't know, it was successful before, why can't it still be successful right now? But no, man. Captain Black Falcon America Man's not going to make $400 million. The Thunderbolts very likely will be in a similar boat, and I think that that's going to be the high-end projections for that. What's going to happen with Fantastic Four? I legitimately don't know. Could it make $1 billion? Probably not. Could it make $500 million? I don't know. I think it'll be somewhere in on and around 750, and is that going to be enough to instill confidence in investors? Is that going to be enough to stop the MCU from going into a full reboot? We'll have to see, because the people are going to turn out for Avengers, but are they going to be able to turn out for anything else? Survey says, fuck no. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.